Bum 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 bum. Monday Night Football, the home opener for the Houston Texans hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You need the stars to show up on Monday Night Football. You know C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins are important for that offense. Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter, Derek Stingley Jr., you know they're important over there on defense, but you also need the role players to show up and show out to get on track. If you're the Houston Texans, who better ball from those role players? Three players on offense, a very important one on defense. Let's get into it, presented by my friends at Sleeper. Running back Nick Chubb starts the who better ball list for me. You just need to be able to run the football at some point. Now, I don't know that you're going to get these big, massive break-off runs like you saw last week with Nick Chubb, where he's barreling over a couple of guys, going through a few arm tackles. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a very impressive interior defensive line, led by Vita Vea, the Pro Bowler last year, but Kalijah Cansey, a fellow interior defensive lineman, also really impressive for this Buccaneers team. But you still have to be able to run the ball, get some tough yards, get some short yardage wins for this offense, and Nick Chubb is where that's going to come into play. Not only is Chubb the most physical runner that the Texans have, he's got a lot of experience. So you've gone up against some tough fronts before. You know what you need to have to succeed against those tough fronts in addition to the blocking. But Chubb's got to be very, very good with his vision. You can't be running into the back of the offensive lineman, putting yourself even further behind the sticks in this matchup against the Buccaneers. You don't want them teeing off on second and long and third and long. And that was one of the biggest emphases from the Houston Texans after week one is they can't play behind the sticks. Well, if you fail in early down rushes, you will be playing behind the sticks. As much as it's up to the five guys up front, Chubb has to have the vision and he has to have the burst acceleration to hit what is there and get what is there. It may not be the most amazing and incredible and dynamic performance from Nick Chubb, but it needs to be solid and workmanlike, and he cannot be going backwards very often, if at all, in this one for the Houston Texans to get a victory. Nick Chubb at running back. You speak about Vita Vea, you speak about Kalijah Cansey. It's worth noting the Texans are going to their backup center in this one. No Jake Andrews, so Jarrett Patterson gets the nod for the Houston Texans in this matchup. And Patterson, man, I like his mentality. I like the way that he talked this week about the offense and how good of a practice they had. And I like that he has a tough matchup to be dialed in and focused on. Now, you'd much rather this be somebody not of note at defensive tackle if it is the backup center. But Patterson has had some success at center and has had some success pass blocking at center. And maybe with this new style of offense, those guards can help him with some of the maybe shortcomings that he's had in the run game. But if Jared Patterson is not pass blocking well, like he had done a little bit last year at the center spot, if he's not pass blocking well, this whole thing could be on its head real quick for the Houston Texans offense. And then he's got to give you something in the run game. We just talked about Chubb. Patterson's going to be super important to that run game. He knows the challenge. He talked about it. He knows that it's not just him. It'll be the teammates with him to get that thing done. But if Jared Patterson is not real good in this matchup, it could go real bad for the Houston Texans with big Vita Vea and Kalijah Cansey. And oh, by the way, all the different things that Todd Bowles is going to throw at this offensive line that should see yet another shuffle in their midst. Yeah, you got to be good at the center spot. You got to be dialed in at the center spot, and that's where the Texans are going to lean on Jarrett Patterson in this one. You should lean on Sleeper for your daily fantasy picks. Man, I love Sleeper and I love daily fantasy. This one, man, it's a fun one. You're just taking a couple of predictions, putting them together into one entry, and then multiplying your money based off of the results. You can even flex it so you don't have to win all the parts of your entry. But I like to go big, just like this one that we put together on the Sleeper app. Kaimi Fairbairn hitting a couple of field goals. Baker Mayfield throwing an interception because Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter getting home with some sacks. And you know Nico Collins is getting the ball in this one. You put these predictions together and you get them all correct, and $5 gets you close to $100, and you're going to get up to $100 in a deposit match. Use my code STOOTS, STOOTS. That's STOOTS when you sign up at Sleeper. There's a link in the description down below. Terms and conditions do apply. Check out Sleeper's terms and conditions for that. Operational over 25 states. STOOTS, STOOTS, to get that deposit match up to $100. Of course, if you want to follow along with this entry, if we win, we all win together, and you can win with that deposit match as well. So support my friends over at Sleeper. They support the channel and appreciate your support of Sleeper and of this channel. Two more players in Who Better Ball. Who Better Ball? Also, Who Better Bounce Back? How about the rookie Ariante Ursary amongst rookie offensive linemen in Pro Football Focus ratings last week in week one? Ariante Ursary was the absolute worst in all of football. And that's not good. But he had a really tough opponent. He moved from left tackle to right tackle, and he had a tough day at the office. But the big fella's going to bounce back. He was really good at times in the preseason and even in practices where he looked like he had a hiccup early. He was able to fix it by the end of practice. He didn't stack bad days in the preseason. So with all of that being said, I don't expect him to stack bad days in the regular season. But when you think about what the Texans can do on their offensive line, which is put Ariante Ursary back at left tackle, if he is indeed at left tackle, he's going to be more comfortable at left tackle because he is a left tackle. He'll be more comfortable at left tackle than at right tackle. But even if he has to play right tackle again, this is a situation where he should have gotten an understanding of what is expected in the NFL game, an understanding of what guys are going to throw at him, and it's not nearly as difficult of an assignment against this Buccaneers team as it was against the Rams. The Rams had a lot of success against Ursary. It didn't look good for Ursary, but that edge pass rush, not as good from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So a little bit less of a challenge, but still super important for Ursary to get it going. I want to see the power from the big fella. We saw it a little bit in the run game, but I'd love to see it on a consistent basis, not only in the run game where he did move some bodies pretty well last week against the Rams, but in the pass game, when he gets his hands on those pass rushers, go out there and be physical and dominant with those pass rushers when he is able to get a hand on them. And speed was a little bit of an issue in the preseason, a little bit of an issue last week. Be ready for that speed when the Buccaneers want to speed rush him. And then again, same thing with Jaret Patterson and facing off against Todd Bowles. You're going to see some exoticness from that defense, from the various areas where they're going to send pressure. Ursary has to be ready to pick it up wherever it's coming from the speedy DBs they may send to just the good old-fashioned big body that they may throw at Ursary. He's got to be ready, and especially if he's protecting the blind side of C.J. Stroud in this one, which not only do I expect that the Texans will give him that opportunity, I also hope they will make that adjustment and put Ursary back at left tackle in this one. Finally, a defensive player for the Houston Texans. Who better ball in this one? Jalen Pitre. Pitre is going to get targeted when he ends up in coverage situations on solid wide receivers. You saw it a little bit with Puka Nacua last week against the Rams. I would expect you'll see it this game with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and their potential stud on the inside, Emeka Egbuka. Egbuka really good in his debut for the Buccaneers. Impressive, consistent, crisp in what he brought to the table. Everything that made, well, all of us like him in the entire draft process leading up to the NFL draft. The Texans didn't get a crack at him, unfortunately, but they will have to account for Emeka Egbuka in this one. And if Petrie is indeed the man coverage guy for Egbuka a couple of times, he's got to be much better than he has been from that nickelback spot and in the ability to cover from that spot. Around the line of scrimmage, Petrie is awesome, and he can affect the game in a great way. And Petrie will be really important in keeping Baker Mayfield tied up and in the pocket. But when Petrie's in passing down situations and he's put into a coverage situation, he's got to be really good in this one to take care of his business. And if he's doing a good job in coverage, you know he's going to bring it around the line of scrimmage. He can affect the game there, force Tampa into some rough spots with his ability to come up and help with the run game. And then all of a sudden it's second and long, third and long, and that makeshift Tampa offensive line's having to deal with the Houston Texans pass rush. Every now and then they like to send Petrie on a blitz. Two, you can start to see how things go really well for the Texans defense, but only if Petrie's handling his business from that nickel spot that the Texans like to play him. Who better ball for you in this matchup? Let me know in the comment section down below. On your way down there, throw me a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Don't forget to check out our friends at Sleeper, as well as our friends at Texans Turf, texansturf.com. Always clean, always green when you use a Texans Turf, so check them out as well. And check me out after the game right here on YouTube. Check me out on Houston Football after the game as well. Appreciate you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I can't wait till we talk Texans again soon.